Hello there. Thanks for joining me for another edition of your Sorrow Sports Business Show, Sports Exchange. My name is Judy Olano, and today it promises to be another exciting one. On the show, we will take you through some of the stories making rounds as far as sports business is concerned, and when we return, we will also have someone talk to us about how sports will be making impacts on the continent as well as in Nigeria. Don't go away.
Fantastically finished.
All right, let's take you through the world of sports business in just a few minutes. Nigeria's sports minister, Sunday Dare, says some international teams will be participating in this year's National Sports Festival in Asaba, the south-south region of Nigeria. Speaking on a radio program, the minister reveals that the invitations have been extended to Ghana, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Benin Republic, and Sierra Leone to present teams that will be part of the Games. The National Sports Festival is scheduled to hold between November 28 to December 10, 2022 in Asaba, Delta State. The International Cricket Council has announced a global partnership with Saudi Arabian energy company Aramco covering all the global governing bodies event until the end of 2023. The deal includes the upcoming 2022 Men's 2020 World Cup in Australia, the 2023 Women's 2020 World Cup in South Africa, and the ICC World Test Championship final in the UK, and the 2023 Men's Cricket World Cup in India. The deal sees Aramco acquire naming rights for the ICC Player of the Match Awards, with the firm set to install recycling machines across all 7 cricket grounds in Australia for the tournament when it gets underway later this month. The ICC says plastic waste will be recycled by the machines into clothing for future events. Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund is interested in investing in Qatar-based sports broadcaster beIN Sports, according to Bloomberg. The public investment fund is believed to be one of the several potential suitors for beIN, which has channels in Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Oceania. beIN is also said to be considering an initial public offering. While no formal approach has been made, it is thought that any move for beIN will assist the Saudi government with its Vision 2030 strategy, which aims to reduce the country's dependence on oil through diversification. And to women's sports now. Sponsorship deals across women's sports have increased 20% year-on-year in 2022, according to a study by sponsorship data and advertising services firm Sponsorship United. The 2022 Women in Sports report, which analyzed partnerships for collegiate and professional sports across teams and individuals athletes, found that finance brands, already the most active sponsorship category among women's sports, increased their sponsorship activity by 30% year-on-year. Completing the top 3 were apparel and accessories and media. Sports United added that 3,500 brands bought a total of 5,650 sponsorships of media across 14 professional women's leagues and collegiate name, image, and likeness athletes. The study also revealed that 1,110 brands bought a total of 2,185 sponsorships of media with individual, professional, and college female athletes. And finally, Liverpool have partnered with social media giant Meta to create a digital clothing line for the English soccer giants fans to buy for their digital avatars in the metaverse. The digital apparel collection in the Meta avatar store includes Liverpool's home and away kits, alongside other club-branded sportswear. The e-commerce store is accessible via Meta-owned Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram. A virtual reality version of the platform will also be rolled out later this year for use with Meta's Quest headsets. The agreement, which is active in 7 markets, including the US, UK, and Spain, sees Liverpool receive a cut of sales revenue. That's it. Okay, that's it for the news. We're going to break, and next is the Dugout segment, and we are talking about Sport Impact Conference in Nigeria.
Fantastically finished.
All right, 2022 shocked the world with COVID-19, and especially Nigeria. Also, the sports industry in Nigeria was affected by COVID-19, and it's not a coincidence that we are talking about sports business now on the show today, and we are looking at the first conference post-COVID. Yeah, post-COVID in Nigeria. I stand to be corrected. I think I should ask the convener, the man behind the dream or the vision that is becoming a reality just a matter of days from now. Deji Oyinbo, sports veteran broadcaster, joins me on the show today. Of course, this is not your first time. It's good to have you always. This is your home. Thanks for joining me again.
Always a pleasure to be here.
I think this is, like I said, this is the first sports business conference post-COVID-19.
Well, as far as we know, is actually the first conference that convenes or gathers all people, professionals across the spectrum of sports business. Even in Africa, I'm not aware there's any conference that does that. Okay. At the moment, conferences tend to be sectionalized. Maybe it's a football conference. Okay. It's a cricket conference. It's said to be sectionalized. It's a particular game, like Soccer X and all of that. But this cuts across. And the vision is, the idea is that we have to stop looking at problems and start seeking solutions, actually. The conference is a situation where we all gather together. We know where the problems are. How can we solve the problems? Okay. With or without government. There are areas where we need the government, but there are areas where we can pull our own resources together and get things done. For instance, in terms of improving quality of what we do in the media, we don't need government for that. We can train ourselves, make ourselves better, pull ourselves up. Okay. In terms of sponsorships, how we package our content for sponsorships, we don't need government for that because it's between us and the private sector. Probably, even in terms of infrastructure, government cannot do everything. We have, part of the conference, we have a speaker who is the vice president, deputy director at African Finance Corporation, who comes to tell us, okay, one of the problems we have in sports in Nigeria, development, across Africa actually, maybe if you take out North Africa and Southern Africa, is basic sporting infrastructure. Okay. You know? And somebody's coming to tell us, okay, this finance is actually there, but you have to tick a few boxes, and that's Mr. Afola Fagbule. Okay. We have to tick a few boxes to access it. Probably we do not know that. So it's a conference that's trying to unlock, the theme is to unlocking Nigeria's sports industry potential and youth development potentials. Where also you can see from the screen, we have media master classes by, I don't have to, they don't need any introduction.
They're all known.
You know, because we all need to continually improve ourselves, because while the business side is improving, the media side also has to improve. And we're talking about things about media narrative, changing the narrative, not telling our African stories enough in the media. We are all guilty of that. We tend to, and we have to be changing the narrative. We are gobbling up too much from what's coming from the Western world. We are not pushing out our own stories. So Sport Impact Africa is something that we hope will engender consistent discussion in the space. Our keynote speaker is Chairman Lagos State Sports Commission. They have done a lot of private-public sector partnerships. I'm going to talk about that. PPP as one of the solutions. Of course, you know, the minister talked recently about in your news. public-private partnerships. So I think for too long we feel in Nigeria, Africa, government will solve all the problems. It's not going to happen. So let's get together, talk about these things, find solutions. It's a whole gamut of, we're talking about sponsorship, we're talking about this girl child, we're talking about e-sports. There some news was there's something about drone sports, about drone sports, that African wrestling, a whole lot of people doing various things in the space. And let's get together, let's network over 2 days, let's learn from each other, and let's generally try and improve our industry for ourselves.
I think, I don't know whether you agree with me, I think that times it appears we're just doing things in silos. I think one of the things this conference is likely to do for us is that it will bring us together, those of us doing.
One of the catchphrases I work with in the last 2 years is collaboration is the new competition. We have to, like you said, everybody wants to, I want to do my thing now. It doesn't work like that. At least not anymore. You've got to find alliances. You've got to find partnerships. You've got to find things that make things easy for you across board. Okay, you have a radio station or a TV station. Instead of hiring people, can I get a production company that would partner with me and put content on my station? Okay. Instead of me having to look for people, to train them, to pay them a lot of money, can I say, okay, Jide, you have a production company, I have the platform, you don't pay for airtime, I don't pay you for production, but whatever comes in, we split up and we all make money. We have to start thinking along those lines. Then sponsorship in Nigeria, what are we doing wrong? The Super Eagles are not going to the World Cup. Okay. Suddenly, all the people that put money behind the Super Eagles have nothing to do, no activation.
Exactly.
Should it be a relationship with Super Eagles or a relationship with Nigerian football that cuts across? We have a panel on sponsorship, how you can maximize and activate your sponsorship. Sponsorship should not depend on a team doing well, because there's no team that will not have downsides. You must have a relationship with Nigerian football. You can say our girls under 20 did well, under 17 not doing badly. But when you restrict it to one section of Nigerian football, you run the risk of they don't do well and then everybody goes home unhappy. So you've got sponsorship and sport are Siamese twins. One sport cannot survive without sponsorship across the world, any part of the world. Exactly. So we need to have these conversations as well.
I think another thing that I really wanted us to look at, the need for, because I remember just a few days ago, there was this, on social media, there was this tweet I was responding to about someone who was saying that we should cut some politicians, we should cut them some slack just because they are not telling Nigerians about what they have for sports industry, what actually, and now you have said that there is a PPP that has been used by, people are not seeing the need for this. I think it's either that they feel that it's either government should do everything or the private sector should, and I feel that the emphasis should be how this conference also is going to be closing, will be enlightening people about that.
We need to close those gaps. We need to close the gap of, blaming government all the time for all our problems. We need to close that gap because some of the problems are really, yes, I know government plays a part in some problems, but some of the problems are self-inflicted. We simply, for instance, we're trying to teach federation officials how to market their events. How do you market your event? Somebody's going to talk about effective social media presence in the digital age. Some of them, they're not even on social media. How do you market yourself? What value are you selling to potential sponsors? Effective social media presence coupled with somebody teaches us, somebody Remy Gukutu is going to teach us how you can stream your live sporting event at reasonable cost. It's a combination. You have created an event. You are streaming it. It's all over on social media. You can go to a sponsor and say, I have presence on online, regular media, and new media. You are selling more value, and they're likely to take you a bit more seriously. Instead of just, I have this event, and I'm just marketing it on pieces of paper. It doesn't work like that. The world has become such a, there's been disruption in the media that a whole lot of things have to happen for you to sell value to the potential, because they are bringing out their hard-earned money. And a lot of corporate bodies have to give account of how they spend because it's not their personal money. So a sponsorship has to be justified. The spend has to be justified and they have to see the value. But right now, I don't think with all due respect, I don't think we are creating enough value. For instance, look at all the people that put money behind the Super Eagles. It looks like all that was predicated on the fact that Super Eagles will be going to the World Cup.
That's it.
And now Super Eagles are not going to the World Cup, and there's no other value you can sell to these players. A whole lot of other things could have happened, even if they are not going to the World Cup. So I think we need to break out, get out of the box, like they say, new thinking, fresh thinking, revolutionary ideas to make things work for us. Because for a country the size of Nigeria, sports should be thriving.
Exactly. And there's something, it's good that this conference is also coming at this time, DG. And there's just something we've always canvassed, we've always spoken about, why some Nigerian athletes are not getting endorsements, deals, or, like they should. But suddenly that seems to be changing, maybe because
I'll give you an example.
That's one of
the two ladies who are getting endorsements.
Toby and
Ese. 2 years ago, they were marketed, they were pushed out to a number of companies, and they were like, they're not interested. The night Toby Amusan broke that world record, the next morning I got calls, people wanting to get Toby's contact. Don't wait until they become champions. Be a part of their story. And even if the story does not get to a world record level, you can use that story to inspire other young people, because sport and the girl child is one of our topics at this conference. Because it's important, the girl child is very, very vulnerable. And when it comes to sports, you have to protect. There are many predators in the system. You have to look at how do you avoid the pitfalls and the predators in the system that might not let a talented young woman fulfill her potential because she runs away from playing sport because of all the shenanigans that might happen there. And this happens even in the biggest countries. We know about Simone Biles' story. So it's a general thing. But how do you protect the girl child? Your business story talked about year on year how sponsorship has improved and all of that is because of this gender equality thing. But it shouldn't have come to that. It's something we should have seen the value of it and should have latched onto. So companies, you find that companies now are doing what I call supportership and not sponsorship. Some of them, because it's like you're supporting Jide, and if Jide does not go to the World Cup, there's nothing to support about Jide. No, Jide still has other values, even if they're going to the World Cup. I keep going back to Super Eagles. Super Eagles still has great value even without going to the World Cup. They're playing some. They play some friendlies, and it looks like the sponsors don't even bother. It's only World Cup, Look at Nigerian basketball. Look at the way they're going in leaps and bounds. Of course, although we shot ourselves in the foot, the ladies should have been to the World Cup, which was ended, but it is what it is. Look at what our young ladies are doing. You look at that on the 20 team, and you can see that one or two of those girls have a bright future. Latch on to them when you probably can still afford them. Or because I can imagine how much money they will have paid for the Toby Amusan now. She's a world record holder, so she doesn't come cheap anymore. But be a part of her story, So the environment is such that we need to, like I said earlier, we need to get out of our comfort zone and start getting things done and start breaking barriers, breaking the glass ceilings, and generally being like, because Nigeria, the level of interest in sports, the media, the amount of media that we have, the quality of personnel that we have, those of us in the industry should not be struggling. We should be thriving.
Exactly. And of course, it's good that you're landing that way, because my next question is about someone who will also be watching, and they might be thinking that, do I really need, some of them even want to get into, I've received mails at times when people say they want to operate in the sports industry and they don't know how to go about it. This is a conversation
it's a conversation we're having. It's a great place to network. I've had a couple of young people since we started talking about this who have come and said, you come there. It's a great place. You never know who you will meet. One of the great things about conferences is that people come to conference with an open mind. You come there, I want to learn, I want to meet people, I want to explore any possible opportunities. So you might even be there and be able to pitch your idea to somebody who might like your idea. So you can't just, it's not going to happen when you sit at home behind closed doors or online and all of that. That was one of the things COVID did for us. That physical interaction, face-to-face engagement is very, very important. That's why it's good that physical conferences are coming back. It's not the same when you do a virtual conference. It's really not. You and I know it's not the same. That we can see, we can talk, we can negotiate. When there's somebody when I negotiate, I look into your eyes, I know whether you are shifty or you are straightforward, you know. So at the end of the day, if you are interested in the sports, any aspect of the sports industry, come there. Come and see how those who have made a success of it, they'll tell you their story. How did they overcome the pitfalls? We have a session on unlocking Nigeria's sports industry value chain. We're going to talk to people who have made it happen. Okay. How did you overcome the pitfalls? How did you overcome the challenges and the obstacles to get to where you are? So, you know, we talk about sports being something that gives you don't quit. Yeah. You have to keep going, keep fighting. And if you want to get into any aspect of the sport, whether it be media, whether it be business, you can't have that loser's mentality. You have to go out there and take the bull by the horns and make a success of it.
Exactly.
No matter
what. And I can really lend the credence to what you said, because when you talk about those who have story to tell, for example, I see on the lineup there is Aderoju. A lot of people don't know what Aderoju is doing. They need to. Beverly also owns an academy, and Beverly also there. And I know a lot of them there. There's lineup and
what we've tried to do is we've tried to bring people, speakers, and apart from the gentleman, Mr. Folafagulo, who is a finance person trying to tell us how you can raise funding for sporting infrastructure, because that's one of the weakest points of sport across Africa. You know, basic sporting infrastructure. How can we get, in every local government, a child has an opportunity, maybe even just a recreation center, where you can play table tennis or volleyball or basketball. You know, there are multi-purpose courts now that can serve for volleyball and basketball and tennis and all of that. You know, football is so popular because football, you don't need any equipment. If we have space here, you and I can start kicking the ball to ourselves, as long as it's open space. So, and then you can even use, when I was in secondary school, we used to play bottle top in the corridors, you know. So, and people can roll up socks and start playing. But the other sports need a bit of equipment. Can we have a situation where we know government can, for instance, 774 local government cannot put something in each local government? What can we do to have basic sporting facilities? And if we put those things there, one, it reduces the crime. It keeps our kids occupied, and then it exposes it widens the dragnet for the talent pool that you're going to get. You do not know where the next superstar in any sport will come from. So, Sport Impact Africa is trying to say, let's be the catalyst for us to rejig the sports industry. There's a lot of potential locked down. We have to unlock that potential.
All right. Well, I think at this point we have to go. And just before we go, don't forget the conference is on November 3rd and 4th, on 4th at the Zone in Lagos. That's where it's going to 3rd and 4th. And also you can see it on the screen, www.sportsimpact.com.ng. That's it. So if you want to be part of it, feel free to join. Log into and get the information. Deji, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
All right,
and I hope I'll see you there.
Definitely, I should be. I will be there. All right, that's it for today's edition of the show. Thanks for joining me, and let's do this again another time. Till then, I'm yours truly, today, tomorrow, and the future in sports, Jide Olaniro.